we're back with another episode. Welcome back to this week's episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. I'm your host.
Oh, sorry.
Alyssa Fowler.
And I am your host, Monica Fleming. Welcome back, y'all. It's still Black History Month. We are still black and historical, and we're in the month of
Yes,
February.
we are. February,
Absolutely.
the shortest month of the year, but who's counting?
That's all right. And the most drama. Why does all the most drama happen in February?
Mostest drama. Is
I
it going to
don't
be cold
understand.
outside? Is it going to be hot outside? Kylie just had her baby.
Who cares? What did too. Eve just had her baby as well. Anyway, I want to start this episode off. As y'all can see, the sweatshirt that I'm wearing. Let me put this down. Don't look at my rolls, y'all. Anyway, the sweatshirt that I am wearing is from an amazing company. I'm going to tell you about this. I'm going to try not to butcher this name. Jolie Noir. I think that's how you say it.
Jolie Noir.
It is French. It is French for pretty black. And I'm doing this because I want to show y'all that I did purchase a sweatshirt
Like
on my own.
Pretty black or pretty black? Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So yeah, this company is called, so the sweatshirt says, Noir is what I am wearing today. This is the, can you hush crickets? This is the line that's currently in Target for the Black History Month spotlight that they're doing. And what is interesting is that if you buy their stuff or whatever, we are not sponsored by them. I wish we were, because they have amazing like athleisure wear. There's actually this teal color like sweatshirts suit ensemble that I really want. I'm gonna purchase it. But anyway, so I looked on the back of this card, and actually this guy that I grew up with, he's older than me, but shouts out to Adrian. He actually was in Target doing like a Instagram story or whatever about them. And he was just like, oh yeah, shouts out to my girl, Keandra Lockett. And I'm just like, I know that name from somewhere. Y'all, I know y'all can't see this. I'm gonna try to put a picture up on our social media. Kendra,
for those of you listening in, she's holding up the tag of the shirt bought that has a picture on the back.
It has a picture of the two owners. This is black owned. So Keandra Lockett and Kim Lockett, they are two sisters. Keandra actually was in a gospel group called Ziel with 4 other young ladies, and then they went down to it was just the three of them. Christina.
Tale as old as time.
Exactly. But it was a gospel group anyway, and so she has an amazing, beautiful voice, and I did not know that this was her brand. So congratulations to you, Keandra. Apparently they've had the brand since 2019, I think. So, but they have, if y'all want to go shop with them, you can shop at www.joliexnoir.com. So, but you can purchase some of their stuff at Target. They have really, really cute stuff, and this sweatshirt is super comfortable. That's all I'm saying. Black owned. Also, too, I also want to shout out another company, black-owned company, called the Honey Dewdrop. And this is actually a company that, and again, we're not sponsored by them at all, but I just wanted to shout out some black-owned businesses for our podcast, because as y'all know,
that's how you know
black.
it's good, when we're not sponsored by it.
Exactly.
And we're still shouting it out.
Absolutely. So if you go to, they have an Etsy shop, which is the Honeydew, DEW drop. So the Honeydew drop, they actually just launched their merch and t-shirts. They have a gift box as well too,
and they got honey,
and they have honey as well too. How do you say it? Tupelo honey?
Tupelo? No, it's Tupelo. That's how you say it.
Tupelo? Really?
You did.
I got it right.
Good
Awesome.
job.
So Tupelo honey. So if y'all want to get some honey, y'all need to go to the Etsy shop to Honeydew Drop. They have an amazing line of honey. I love honey. I didn't used to eat honey back in the day, but I do now.
I've been trying to get someone to go to the beekeeper class with me in Austin for a
do
year.
it.
You want to do it?
Yes.
Okay, it's in Austin. There's a beekeeper class.
Let's do it. Well, actually,
are you allergic to
of,
bees?
No.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
I am. I think that.
Do you have an EpiPen that we can just share?
I got you.
Very true. Well, I did want to say this, that again, this Honeydew Drop is actually a company that is built by two black sisters, and 10% of their profits actually are donated to Bees Beyond Borders, which is a nonprofit organization that trains beekeepers. See what I'm saying?
I'm serious about being a beekeeper. After I saw
Secret Life of Bees.
Thank you. The only bee movie besides Bee Movie. Yeah,
right.
That one.
Exactly.
I was like, I could do this shit.
That is cool.
Also, not to backtrack, I do have a question. Do you think white people get side-eyed when they're buying the Black History Month shit at Target? Go.
No, because in my brain, I'm like, that's right, reparations. Because it's going to a black person.
Too.
There's this girl on TikTok. I wish I knew her name. There's this young lady on TikTok who's actually having a really rough time at her PWI. And she literally put on there, she was just like, if you are a white person during the month of February and you see a black content creator, you need to cash app them $10. So literally white women and white people have been cash apping this girl $10 for lunch. And she's like, thank you for my reparations.
As it should be.
As it should be. Last company that I do want to shout out. This is a friend of mine who we have known each other since middle school, since the 6th grade. Isn't that crazy? Wow. She has an amazing...
What was that, like 1975?
Shut up. No, I was not even born yet. But yeah, her name is Marcy, and she has a company called Chic 83 Boutique. You guys can shop at her on her website. She also has an Instagram.
Sorry, these clothes are cute.
Yeah, she has really cute clothes. She's had this boutique for some years now. They have a brick and mortar.
Excuse the fuck out of me.
Well, that's not all the clothes they sell. That's just for a particular.
If I put this on, I would look like a busted can of biscuits, but I'm sure there are women, like these women look beautiful. Yeah,
but she sells, a lot of different things. But Chic 83 Boutique, y'all follow her on TikTok as well as Instagram. Shop till you drop. She's always having sales, always having deals and stuff like that. So Chic 83 Boutique, Honeydew Drop, as well as Jolie Noir.
How do you have all these friends starting businesses?
Because Black women are amazing. What else do you want?
Well, where's my business at?
This is our business. We need to get it into the right hands.
Am I the drama?
Yeah. You know all these people to put it in the right hands so we can quit our 9 to 5.
All right, I'll get on it.
Well, Keandra Lockett she's not my friend. I would love for her to be, but I don't have access to her.
You hear that, Keandra? We're waiting.
I'm just a fan of her music and her albums. She has I think 2 or 3 albums out, solo albums. But Zael, I'm a huge fan of Zael, even though they're no longer a group anymore. But I'm sad about that. Anyway, how was your week this past week? Said all that to say.
I can't complain. I went to Pilates twice this week. We're all very shocked.
Why do you keep going without me to Pilates?
Let's go, because I can't go. And I needed to warm myself back up into Pilates. I can't just show up there willy-nilly and bring a guest, I have to get my bearings again. I have not been there since the pandemic started.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, did we go to the stretch zone during the pandemic?
Yeah, because we were wearing a mask. Someone was wearing a mask.
We did. Yeah, because that's when my back fucked up and my family came. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep,
absolutely.
And I need to get back at the stretch zone too. But I'm back on my bullshit. In 6 months, I'm going to be hot. You're not even going to recognize me.
Ooh, cool beans.
Ooh, yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
My week, did you hear that?
Yep.
That was an extreme stroke.
Please stop saying MCA. That. You're not having a stroke. You're not having a stroke.
I can't complain. My week was fine. I did the things.
You weren't in COVID this week?
I was not in COVID this week.
Good.
I was in my old stomping grounds, stomping grounds. And my vibe right now is just living life.
Nothing wrong with that.
I kept talking about how I wanted to put up curtains. That was my goal this week, is to hang all my curtains.
Did you accomplish that goal? Probably not.
No, one of the guys at work, that
you know that I was gonna say they could definitely hear you say
that. I don't think that I can. I don't know. I don't think he cares. Anyway, Danny lent me his drill.
Yeah.
And was just telling me all this stuff, this is how you do it, walking me through, and I was like, it's gonna be fine. I've done this before.
Oh Jesus! Don't tell me you put a hole in your wall.
And he was just so concerned. I was like, if you're so concerned, Daniel, come over and do it yourself. He was like, no, I'm not gonna come over and do it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you're gonna do it. I screwed 2 screws. They wouldn't go in all the way. I immediately was like, this ain't for me. I called the handyman.
Oh, Jesus.
So you got to put him up.
So you called him or somebody else?
I called somebody else.
Did you pay them to do that?
Yes.
Alyssa, I could have did that for you.
It's okay. He did a good job. He came over while I was at work. He put everything up. He built me a bookshelf. I'll have to show you. I got my books up. So I had a good week.
You probably just didn't put the setting high enough or push hard enough. I have an impact driver, so
He built me a bookshelf.
Cool beans. I could have built you one of those for free.
Fine, but everyone's at work except for him, so it was perfect. Anyway, but then I couldn't tell Danny that I didn't put him up. So he was like, are the curtains up? And I was like, he said, did you put the curtains up? I said, yes, the curtains are up.
Well, he's going to hear you now that she didn't use you, Danny. So anyway, she's not really your friend.
Surprise, surprise. I'm not good at home renovation.
No, definitely not.
But other than that, good week. What about you?
My week was it was a horrible week. Y'all, please just put this in the hands of Charlamagne or Issa Rae or Tyler Perry.
Jesus.
Joe Biden. Somebody.
Joe Biden.
Lord Jesus. I'm sick of a lot of things. Life I am not sick of. So you don't have to worry about that. But this past week was rough, man. It was rough at work. I literally was sitting at my desk one day and I sat there for 20 minutes and I was like, I'm about to just log the fuck off this shit. I was so close to quitting my job. I was so close, sweet lamb of God.
Here's the thing. You can either be stuck at a shitty job you hate and not at home, or stuck at a shitty job you hate and be in the comfort of your own home.
No, it's even worse because you don't have anybody to bitch and moan to. So you're just sitting there like banging your head against, I fucking hate these people. And it's just silence. And then my neighbor, I don't know if he's like building a dungeon or some shit, but he's been drilling crap all week. And I'm just like, dude, ew, that's gross. I mean, they got 2 kids, so, you know, 2 small kids. But
they're doing something right.
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I started watching that show, Pam and Tommy.
Pamela
Tommy? Anderson and Tommy Lee.
Oh God,
Yeah, that's how the show is.
Yeah, no. I've been watching Raising Dion. Dion came back on. I'm on episode 6. He's so
stinking cute.
I keep binging it. That's how I get through the day. Like I like during my lunch break, I'll just start watching Raising Dion because it's really getting really, really good. But anyway, I won't spoil it for anybody. But yes. Anyway, so yeah, we ready to get on into it?
Get into it, yeah.
What were you? You were starting off with something.
You were saying, I was saying that Kylie told us what her baby's name was. You don't even care.
What is it?
Wolf Webster.
Didn't Eve name her baby? Eve named her baby Wolf. Wild Wolf.
Wild Thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eve's baby is Wild Wolf. Something. Something.
It's a long name. That baby will never learn to spell their name.
No, it is. He's got like 5 names.
Yeah.
This is just Wolf Webster. I didn't see it coming. I gotta say.
WW.
Maybe that's what his nickname will be.
W. Get on over here, W. Come on.
Stormy, baby.
I can't.
And Wolfie. So I know you were excited to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. Can't get enough of it. Oh, wow. Awesome. Congratulations to her.
Oscar nominations are out.
Oscar freaking nominations.
Oscar Mayer Wieners, baby.
Let me just tell you who's leading Oscar nominations right now. Do you want to know?
I would love to know.
King Richard. Sorry, that was a delay because there we go.
That movie was so good, and I love that it was about a black woman and man and woman,
the whole family,
family, a black family.
Yes, so I'll tell you this: they are leading the nominations, right? So everybody that's a part of that movie, Beyonce, who sung, I think she wrote it as well too, the theme song to it.
Do you think Serena just sent out a mass text to everyone she wanted involved in that movie and was like, absolutely. Hey, I got a project coming out?
I'm quite sure she had complete creative control.
She had to.
As she should.
I'm sure she texted Will and she texted Beyonce and was like, I need you.
But the movie wasn't even really about her. It's really about Venus. Yeah. Venus and her dad. But I mean,
she's like, I'll give you this one, Venus.
Yeah.
Even though you were an amazing tennis player. Like,
you set the foreground for me to be able to even come up. But yeah, so Beyonce is actually nominated for original song for Be Alive, which is the theme song for the movie. Also, Will Smith is nominated for lead actor in a role. Denzel Washington is actually nominated for an Oscar as well too for his role in The Tragedy of Macbeth. Never saw that. Didn't even know he was in a movie called that. I've been focusing
on his son for the last 2 years. So
his son is gorgeous. But I will tell you who I am rooting for.
Everyone black.
Exactly. Who happens to be black. Aja New Ellis. That's right. And you know why I'm rooting for her is because she has been in this game for a very long time.
For those of you who don't know who that is.
She's played in so many different movies. Underground. She played in what was the new one that we just Misha Green?
I had no idea that was
Lovecraft
her name.
Country.
Lovecraft
She played
Country.
in that. She also played Dr. Maddie Moss Clark in the Lifetime depiction of the Clark sisters. She's played in so many. She played in The Help. She's played in so many different movies. It's insane. But she actually got nominated for her role as playing Oracene in King Richard and for supporting actress role. First of all, I think this is amazing. You know why? Because she graduated from an amazing HBCU, Tougaloo College.
I thought you were going to say Florida A&M University.
No, Florida A&M University is amazing, but I like to celebrate other HBCUs as well too.
Oh, that's good. Good on you. Yeah. What is it? Support black colleges.
That's right. Absolutely support all black colleges. Tougaloo alumni.
Woo-hoo! Tougaloo. That's fun to say. Where is Tougaloo?
In Tougaloo, Mississippi.
That's Tupelo.
I know.
Oh, that was a funny joke.
So yeah,
do you watch? Are you one of the people who like sees what's nominated for best film and then watches them?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah, because it gives me.
I wouldn't have. What is that? What's the phrase? I wouldn't have tagged you for that.
Peg me for that.
I don't want to peg you.
I know. Please don't do that. No, I don't want to be pegged at all. Or painted you out to be that person. Anyway, here's the thing. I do that. I don't read books, but I will watch a movie.
Wait, so, I've been trying for the last 3 years. I've been trying very hard.
This chair is to the floor. Sorry.
Can I talk now to my fans?
Sorry.
They're here for me.
You're right.
I've been trying really hard for the last couple of years to watch all the Oscar-nominated movies so that I can make an informed opinion about what's trash and what's not.
And that's what I do too, because I want to see if they win and it's like such a big hype. I'm just like, how the hell did this movie win?
Like, remember when Parasite won? I feel like no one talked about Parasite until it won. And
I still haven't even seen it.
I haven't either because
I
was like,
film. Yeah. But
foreign
I
and
mean,
scary.
Actually, I lied. I started watching Parasite, but I think it was the wrong film.
What do you mean?
Because halfway through it, I was just like, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is the real movie. Because I thought it was supposed to be like something like a apocalyptic type of thing, and it was not.
No, it's not. It's like he gets hired, and then the whole family gets hired.
Exactly. So I was just like, I think this is the wrong movie. But now that you're saying that, it was the right movie. I'm just saying. Because I was just like, this is the wrong thing. It's supposed to be like apocalyptic. When you say Parasite, like I'm thinking, Bird Box. Okay, no,
Is
it was
Bird
not
Box
that.
apocalyptic? I never saw Bird Box.
You with Sandra Bullock, you've never seen Bird Box?
Sometimes when everyone starts talking about it, there's like a threshold. Like a couple people are talking about it and hyping it up, and I'll jump in and watch it. It's like it's like buying crypto or something. Like I'll get in.
Yeah.
But then once everyone's talking about it, I'm like, oh, it's too much. I don't want to do it.
No, it was good. It was a really good movie.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it now that no one cares about it.
Yeah, damn, it was really good.
Is she blind in that movie?
No.
She have a blindfold on?
During a certain part of the movie, yes.
Okay.
But she's not blind in the movie.
Okay.
Nobody's really blind in the movie.
Nobody's really blind in real life.
Stevie Wonder's
if you really think about it.
That's true. Anyway.
All that to say, we will be watching the Oscar-nominated films.
I mean, some of them are kind of lame.
I already said it.
Oh, well.
What's nominated for Best Film?
That's a very good question. Let me see. Hold on. Let me go back. Oh, no, you're going to have to make me.
It's fine. Best Film. Oscar.
It's movies that you haven't heard of, and I think because the COVID, kind of messed up
so many
everything.
movies were released on like HBO Max and Netflix and stuff.
Exactly.
Which is weird because wasn't there a big thing about what could be considered a couple years ago? It was like what could be considered for Oscar nominations, like if it's a short series, it was, and until they made those categories.
So Best Picture is
Drive My Car. Never heard of that.
Belfast.
Oh, I saw Belfast.
Never saw it.
Because Jamie Dornan is in it.
Coda, but with a D, not a T. So
Dune's gonna win.
Don't Look Up, Dune, Drive My Car. King Richard is gonna win. Thank you. It's Black History Month.
I didn't watch.
Nightmare Alley.
Don't Look Up was not an Oscar.
West Side Story. How many times have y'all done that fucking movie? Jesus, or story, whatever.
This is bottom of the barrel shit, and
this is what I'm saying.
It's either gonna be King Richard or Dune.
But I would say Dune probably like Dune. I think will get like best costumes or some shit.
Yeah, probably. I wonder if it'll get best score. Beyonce's gonna win.
Yeah, Beyonce. She better win. Has she won an Oscar yet? No.
Yeah, didn't she win for? What song is?
Lemonade.
No.
Freedom Dress.
Beyonce.
I don't know.
Oh, this is her first Oscar nomination.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Why did I think she got an Oscar? Dreamgirls, nothing.
Yeah, she got nominated for supporting actress or was it a Golden Globe? No, it was an Oscar.
This is her first Oscar nomination.
No, I think she got
something ain't smell right.
She got nominated along with Jennifer Hudson. I think it was a Golden Globe, and Jennifer Hudson won both of them. Yeah, because she won the Golden Globe and the Oscar.
Either way,
yes.
I wonder if this will be a good Oscars. I feel like award shows have sucked for the last 2 years.
Who's hosting it? Didn't they make an announcement on who's hosting it?
Remember that time Kevin Hart was supposed to host it, and then he said he would throw his son's dollhouse over his head.
That's not what he said. He said that in 10 years ago, and they did that shit on purpose to try to block him from hosting the Oscars. And he had already apologized for saying that 10 years ago.
My thing is, like, it's Kevin Hart. He says egregious shit all the time.
But I didn't even think that was egregious. He's a comedian.
No, that's what I'm saying. He says crazy shit all the time. It's his literal job. And that was
I just really think that there's somebody
such a
like
random
on the
thing.
The Twitter community that just like holds everybody's tweets and just like, oh, remember he said this, and it's like he's not homophobic. The man has come out and said, I've had a change of heart. Like, it's comedy.
I don't think you can be homophobic in high school in Hollywood. Everyone's
you can. You can be covert just like you can be racist in Hollywood.
On a spectrum.
No,
there.
Not. What were you okay?
This is going to be a multiple people are going to host it. It's going to be a grab bag. It's going to be a shit show.
It's lame. That's going to be lame. Hell, just let Donald Trump do it. I mean, he'll be entertaining.
That would be a fun thing to watch. No one would go.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
So what were you telling me about? Well, we might be going to war. I hope not.
I did hear that Putin said, all gas, no brakes.
Yes.
Let's go. He said, we're going to Ukraine.
Yes, because President Biden actually just made an announcement. I think it was yesterday.
Joe Biden?
Friday. He was telling all Americans that are in Ukraine, get your ass out of there. And I'm like, how can they get out if you don't help them, sir? Like, first of all, you're American. Why are you in Ukraine? For work? Military? I don't know.
Can't be any worse than here.
I think it can, because Putin literally put all his people right there at that border, and Ukraine is like, ha, you come on with your big guns. United States gonna look out for us, and we're not gonna do that.
He said, so anyway, Putin, is there anything you want to tell Joe Biden right now?
Listen, meet me at this border. That's what he said. So I pray that we don't go to war. I don't got time for that, please.
Dude, can you imagine,
why you want Ukraine? What? Anyway, I don't even want to go into that.
He said, this land is your land. This land is my land.
Listen,
we're not a political podcast. I'm not here to tell you what the fuck is up with that. I'm just saying some crazy shit. I don't personally want another war. It's just like not meshing with my vibe right now. I just don't want to deal with that. I'm trying just to float through. But you know what? Maybe if no, I won't even put that. We don't need to enter another war for my student loans. It's fine.
No. And then he's still going to be like, after the white flag has been flown, you still owe Sally Mae.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. So what were you telling me about some, because we have an amazing guest today that we're going to be talking to. Her name is Malika Dandridge, and she is a mental health counselor.
Professional.
And she's actually getting her PhD in psychology, which is amazing.
We had an intervention today for Monica. We recorded it all, and I can't wait for you to listen along.
I go to therapy regularly, so I also have an intervention all the time. But yeah, so what were you telling me about? Something with a broken heart or something?
So
like that before
as
we talked to her?
Scrolling through the interwebs, I saw an article that said the following that I can recall from memory.
Okay.
I hope.
5, 6, 7, 8.
3, 2, 1. Let's go. Level up. Okay.
Ma'am.
I didn't take my medicine. I didn't take my medicine at work the other day. It was the longest day of my life. I almost fell asleep on the computer. It's hard out here. Anyway, all that to say. Since COVID-19 has been a thing, there has been a shocking increase in, quote, broken heart syndrome in middle-aged and older women. And that's just it happens from extreme physical or emotional stress. These hormones flood your bloodstream, attack your heart, and make it not do its heart stuff.
Really?
Heart ain't hearting. And they call it broken heart syndrome because it's usually when people are like, oh.
That's a real thing, though.
I know. The people that die after their spouse dies?
Yeah.
Because they're so sad?
Absolutely.
This shit. And they said it's the rates have grown 10 times faster in middle-aged and older women in the last, especially since COVID-19 times. Because people are just
there's no human interaction anymore.
It's not.
The more technology advances, the less that we are likely to physically come into contact with people. Even text messaging, people don't talk on the phone to hear each other's voices anymore. We're sending voice notes and we're sending emails and text messages and we're just communicating through TikToks.
Can you
that's
imagine?
How my friendships are.
So then when someone close to you lose someone close to you, if that's all you have, you don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine moving somewhere new right when the pandemic started?
No.
That would be awful.
I moved here not knowing anybody.
But that's different.
How?
Because you didn't move here and then the whole country was shut down.
No, but I was flying back and forth every month.
Yeah, but you couldn't have even done that during COVID.
True. That's true.
You can't go out. No one was going to work. You know what I mean? If you move somewhere, they start working you from home.
Yeah, and then you had to stand in lines like you were trying to get government cheese, government peanut butter just to get into a Walmart or an HEB. It's insane. Yeah.
So people protect your heart, ladies. It's heart. Is it Heart Disease Month? It's something about the heart this month.
I know it's Black History Month.
It's Black History Month, and that's really all we're here for. It's also February is.
Nope, it's just Black History Month.
February is Black History Month, and also in the month of February, we would like you to remember that you
celebrate Black people.
To celebrate Black people and to check up with your doctor if you have any heart issues.
Is it Cardiovascular Month?
American Heart Month.
American Heart Month.
So stroke prevention, heart disease, all of that stuff. Take your fish oil.
Your omega-3, 6, and 9.
Go on a run every once in a while. Brisk jog.
I didn't say all that. I just said take your omegas.
Okay.
But yeah.
And protect your mental health. It's It's been a tough time these last couple of years. Every time I feel like we're on the up and up, some shit happens. Like,
and it reminds us that we're not.
Exactly. I feel like we're finally at a point, like, okay, you know, Omicron and Delta were not great, but they weren't as bad as that first round. We're kind of all getting back on our feet. And are we going to war?
Listen, I mean, oh Jesus, this world, I'm telling y'all, I think they dropped us off on the wrong planet. You ever heard that song from this young lady, black young lady, I can't remember her name. I wish I would have known it, but it just came to my head. Earth is ghetto, I wanna leave. Can you? I'm gonna play it in post. Amazing song about how ghetto Earth is, and she wants the aliens to, can you beam me up? I'm just like, yes, girl, take me with you.
The more I watch Archive 81, the more I'm like, this is not my world.
This is not my planet. I'm in the wrong
dimension.
I definitely am. I got off too early or got off too late. Somebody ain't wake me up or something, because this is ridiculous. But yeah, so we have an amazing guest that we're getting ready to talk to and switch to. So the audio may be a little weird, but you're
going to sit there and listen to it,
because
you are. She's a great person. And
Absolutely.
We had a good time. And this is the podcast that you've clicked on. So
absolutely,
good luck.
You better listen to it. God. We have a wonderful special guest today with us. And I personally know her. We've been knowing each other since we were kids, literal teenagers, since the 9th grade.
Whoa.
I know. So now we have 2 against 1 now. So
nice.
2 millennials versus 1 Gen Z. So that's pretty awesome.
Step it up.
Yeah, exactly. So today we have a wonderful special guest in the person of Malika Dandridge. She graduated with her bachelor's from University of Florida, go Gators, in sociology and anthropology. She also has her master's in mental health counseling from Walden University, and she's currently pursuing her PhD in social psychology from Walden University. She's actually defending her dissertation, and the topic is a correlation investigation of father emotional presence and gender role identity in African American women. So that's her official dissertation title.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So she currently works with children ages 5 to 17, and children, unfortunately, who have been, victims of both physical and sexual assault, abuse, sorry, things of that nature, which I don't see how you do it, sweet lamb of God. That just seems extremely difficult, and oh God, I would just be wanting to punch people in the face. But she's also worked with adults dealing with anxiety, depression, trauma, etc. And just now she's currently focusing more so on children. So welcome to the Face Off with Fleming and Fowler.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, we are so excited to have you here. So I guess we just want to start off with, well, what even made you go into psychology and counseling in the first place?
Well, I always wanted to find out, what people, why they did certain things, kind of like the cognitive aspect of it. So that always interested me. So that's really basically it. And just, I enjoy helping people. I know it's kind of like cliche, like, oh, you're a therapist, you like to help people. But just the gratification, especially working with young children, to be able to help them deal with the trauma that they're dealing with, so that when they're older, they don't have to, use other means of coping, drugs, alcohol, things like that. They're able to cope better. So just giving them those tools and seeing them thrive, I think is really, has been very fulfilling. So,
do you ever take your work home with you sometimes?
I try not to. I really don't. My drives are about 30 minutes long. So I usually turn the music up, and then try to clear my head, because some days it is rough. Some days we do get a lot of crisis cases. Mm-hmm. And so those are really tough. Just having to read what the kids have gone through in detail, it is a little rough sometimes, but I try not to take it home. Try not to portray that on my own kids, just kind of come home, fresh attitude, move on, next place. So.
God bless you and people like you, because if there's one thing I can't do, it's like young kids being bullied. Anytime there's a movie or something about a kid being bullied or a kid being abused, I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Kids are, it's one thing to like deal with them on the medical side of stuff, but because they're sick and just whiny, right? Mm-hmm. But then getting into their deep, dark secrets, and oh my God, I would just want to like punch everybody who hurts children. Like that's a whole nother topic. But
it's
hurt people.
That is very true. So I want to start off kind of with talking about just the field of mental health in general. Like, I think right now in this generation, we talk a lot about this on our podcast about, how Gen Z is really kind of like the driving force, I feel like, with kind of helping to understand or to bring to the light a lot of different mental health issues and traumas that are arising that we didn't see, unfortunately, in the generation prior to us, and actually 2 generations prior to us. But I know that even growing up for us, mental health, the subject of mental health was always very taboo. So my question is, like, why is mental health so stigmatized and so frowned upon?
I think just like you said, just to piggyback off of what you said, just that negative aspect of mental health, right? People would use the words like crazy or, psycho, things like that, without really being educated on what mental health means. Mm-hmm. But I think now, I think Gen Z, they're kind of bringing that more to light with taking that stigmatization off of, therapy and mental health counseling. I think even for the older generation, especially in the Black community, it's kind of like, hey, what goes on in this house stays in this house, right? So it's never taken out of the house to, so just, I think, with bridging that gap too, with the older, younger generation, just being exposed and educated on what mental health is, what the benefits of mental health are. I think that's very important. Once you know better, I think you can do better. So.
If you knew better, you'd do better.
Right. So what essentially in your definition as a mental health counselor, like, what is the definition of mental health?
Mental health is just being, it's like physical health, right? Mental health is being healthy in your mind, right? So you're healthy. It could be anything from spiritually, cognitively, just, I want to give the wrong thing or go the wrong way. But just being able to feel fulfilled, feel happy, feel fulfilled, not feel like you are, missing something, or, just being happy with what you have, where you're at in life, not comparing yourself to anyone else. So I think it just, mental health for people just really means like different things. So.
Gotcha.
Can you imagine if your mom had been a therapist?
Oh God,
I think I'd be literally. I would be a completely different person, and I could probably be the president right now, or running like a Fortune 500 company. At least.
No, I think it's the opposite. It's kind of like pastors' kids or like CEO kids. They're the worst ones because oftentimes you're taking care of everybody else and you neglect your own household. I mean, look at me. I'm obese and I'm a physical therapist, and I tell people all the time, "Hey, get up and work out," and I'm over here struggling trying to climb up my doggone stairs. You know what I mean? So I think it would be the opposite, but I think you'd have some great tools though to be able to like, go off on.
Do you find it hard? You have kids, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Do you find it hard?
14 and 10. So.
14 and 10. Jeez Louise.
I still can't believe.
You have a 14-year-old child.
Yeah, I know.
Of my age. Do you find it hard when you come home to have the energy to like be patient with them and use the tools that you use for your patience with your kids?
It depends what days. Some days are better than others. My kids, they're good. They just, they're like, hey, what do you know, in a sense, especially my 14-year-old, right? So, I think just not, trying to use my therapy on them, but just really being their mom, and not trying to put them in a category. So I try to do that. I try not to, hey, I'm going to do therapy with you guys today, right? Because they don't want to hear that. So just being there for them and just trying to, have a balance between everything. I think that has been something that I've grown to learn to do. So just also, Monica knows me, just working out, doing certain things just helps my mind just, to be clear and
Malika's probably the only
my emotions on them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Malika's probably the only person in my life like steadily who this girl's been working out since freshman year of high school. Like I don't think she takes a day off. Like even you have we're coming up on our 20th year high school reunion. Malika still has the same body that she had in high school. It's insane. She's had 2 children.
Props to you.
I'm just like, God dang it. That's because she was a track star. That's why. She's a runner. She's a track star. But Yeah, she has. Oh my God,
that's probably a really healthy coping mechanism for stress. I like to eat and drink, but I'm sure if I went on a run, that'd be good too.
I like to take naps. That's my coping mechanism.
An occasional glass of wine doesn't help on certain days.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing that this is, we're in Black History Month and we want to kind of shine a light on, different things that are plaguing the African American community, and specifically with mental health, and kind of piggybacking on what you said, kind of what are your thoughts on intergenerational trauma and like what role does that play in the Black community?
I think that plays a big role in the Black community because, it's kind of, for example, well, my grandmother doesn't trust, I guess the healthcare system, right? Mm-hmm. So now she's passing that on to, hey, maybe her kids or her grandchildren. So they're going to automatically have this stigma of the healthcare system, even mental health, right? So, but it's warranted, right? Because, African Americans have been misdiagnosed in the, past or, Tuskegee. I know you guys talked about that, at one point, just that has an impact still on, the African American community. So I think it's just, again, going back to knowing, about mental health and being educated on mental health will kind of destigmatize that intergenerationally, I think so.
Mm-hmm. So even in like trying to destigmatize mental health, what are some like positive words or kind of positive talk languages that we can use or we can adopt with regard to talking about mental health? Because I know there was a big push from back in the 80s, you used to be able to use the R word when talking about individuals who have mental delay. But now, obviously that word is not utilized now. So what kind of like positive languages or positive words that we can use to try to help destigmatize the field of mental health or the subject of it?
So just hypothetically, just instead of saying, hey, that person's crazy, right? That person needs help. Just saying, okay, well, we're going to help this person who is living with a mental health disorder or, and living with schizophrenia, things like that. Not putting that negative label, oh, the person has this, because that kind of puts that label on them and stigmatizes that, illness. And there's a lot of anxiety and depression that, go around, or not go around, sounds like people are sick with it, but that people, may be living with. So I think just, again, being able to be educated on that and the use of certain words, will really help destigmatize that. So just normalize, and I hate to use the word normal too, just say, hey, this is maybe a way of life for somebody, right? Or this is what they live with. It's not putting the normal, because what is normal? So you can't really define that, right? So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like that's what happened with anxiety and depression. Like that used to be so negative, and now it's almost not overused, but I feel like an extremely general term that people use a lot more than they used to. Oh, I'm anxious. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm anxious. Oh, I'm depressed. Yeah. So now it's almost like pendulum swung to the other side of that spectrum in terms of we used to never want to use it. No one ever wanted to be depressed or anxious because that was the whole thing. And now, like, oh, everyone's depressed and anxious.
Yeah.
Even if you're not clinically depressed or anxious.
No, I think especially now, piggybacking off what you said, especially now with, COVID and being isolated, I think that has come more to the forefront of, just recognizing anxiety and depressions.
Yeah. But I also think, too, people, like, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it.
So you get canceled every...
I know, right? Because of me. Well, the thing is, I feel like nowadays, like, kind of piggybacking on what you said, everybody, it's almost like everybody wants to have anxiety. Everybody wants to have depression. Everybody wants to have, like, ADHD, or they always want to blame it on something else. No, because I actually got diagnosed with anxiety. I really did during the pandemic. But it was because of stuff that was going on professionally. Yeah. Not because of the patients that I was seeing and the people dying and whatnot. It was because other, additive effects or whatever. But I just feel like everybody's just hungry to have something versus just like, no, you're just lazy. You don't have anxiety or depression. You're just lazy right now.
Glasses and braces. Everyone wants glasses.
Exactly.
They don't have glasses.
Exactly. I don't think anybody wants braces though, but. But do you find like in your field that there are a lot of people who just want a diagnosis for something that it may not be there, and they're just wanting something kind of like what do they call it, biting at the straws or whatever? Is that the term?
Chomping at the bit.
Chomping at the bit, something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Just with, I guess an example of me just working with kids, I find a lot of the guidance counselors may, for instance, if the kid is acting out, right? They would say, okay, well, they're acting out, not trying to look back and see if they dealt with trauma or dealt with anything like that, right? So just trying to put a label on them like they're a bad kid or they need to be XYZ. I'm not looking at what they could have gone through or what they're currently going through. So at least that's for me because I work with kids right now. So I find that to be a big issue, just putting a label on kids and trying to kind of, okay, well, this kid won't sit still for 2 minutes, right? ADHD. I'm like, that's not, plausible, I think, in a sense, before you look deeper and try to peel back the layers of what's really going on with them.
Mm-hmm. So how does because I know even there's a lot of, videos like TikTok and all that kind of stuff where people are talking about how stress and trauma and anxiety and all that kind of stuff shows up in our bodies physically. Mm-hmm. And, since, I'm a PT, Alyssa's an OT, and we have patients that come in with certain issues. Well, I used to before I left the bedside, but, but even in myself personally, like I noticed for me, and I don't know if this is just a thing for real clinically or this is just me making it up. I just know for me personally, my hips are always so tight.
We hold our trauma in the hips.
It's insane.
I knew it.
Is that true or is that just are we making that up?
We just all have tight ass hips.
Zero.
All day. And we're like, I'm traumatized.
Right.
I mean, this is true. Trauma can situate, show itself differently, in each individual, right? I can't say what that is for you, so I'm not going to put that out there. I know what's up the hips. Hips
don't lie.
But
some tight hamstrings
but I know trauma, can affect, your blood pressure, right? Can cause you to have anxiety, heightened sense of awareness, things like that. So it just can manifest in everyone differently. Mm-hmm. So it really just depends.
And is that so? I know like 0.76% about intergenerational trauma and all of that
it's
stuff.
It's a very interesting number, but okay.
It's pretty accurate. I'm nothing if not accurate. But is it true that trauma can be passed down through DNA?
Yes, it can be. Let me try to get an example of that.
For context, I've heard since African American people in the United States have always been started as slaves, and it was such a traumatic experience that changes the DNA and it's passed down generationally to where people are walking around today with DNA that's technically been, I don't even know the word, affected by trauma that happened hundreds of years ago.
I wouldn't necessarily say DNA, but again, that's kind of more push on the psychological aspect of that. So I'll speak very lightly, but I know that people can suffer from vicarious trauma, just, seeing someone or hearing about trauma from someone else and kind of letting that manifest in them. So I know that's prevalent, especially with healthcare workers too, just vicarious trauma, secondary trauma. You guys might hear stories or see things and still, in a sense, be affected by it, but not know it at the moment, So I don't know if it's so much with DNA. I think it's more of, what is being passed down to that person, what's being told to that person. So,
but I think it's also perpetuated societally and systematically as well too, because if you look at it from the days of African Americans, we were kings and queens that were deduced down to slaves, and you kind of have it's kind of like now the hate they give us, right? The movie The Hate They Give Us, where it's the thing about the police shooting and all that kind of stuff, and you have the talk with your children, or people have the talk with their children. So I think too that even that intergenerational trauma, it happens because we're, raised by, or I was raised by a boomer, and my dad was from the silent generation. So them having to live through, Jim Crow and segregation times and all that kind of stuff, and growing up in the era of, the civil rights movement and all that kind of stuff. So there were certain conversations that were had in our household that directly correlated or related to how we dealt with people outside of our race. And so I think that kind of has a lot to do with it, because your parents help shape who you are. So when people say, "Oh, I'm not a racist, I could never be racist," like, no, you like racism, you're born into it, but you can also be taught that stuff as well
Anyone
too.
can be anything. That's what I like to say.
Very true. Very true. Except for black people, we can't be racist. We can be prejudiced, but we can't be racist by definition, because we don't have
it's a numbers thing. Yeah.
We don't have a systematic control. But I do think that mental health is definitely intergenerational in that aspect, that because systematically there are so many different things that we fight against versus other groups of people.
Yeah, and systematic racism, does, put that stigmatization on mental health, right? So that's really, it does. So I do agree with that aspect of it.
So even kind of piggybacking on, race and things of that nature, like how important is it, or is it even really important to choose a therapist who looks like you? Because I know for me, when I started therapy, I wanted to make sure that I had a black woman specifically. And the only reason why I wanted a black woman, I wanted one who was a boomer, which was, I think now, thinking back at the hindsight,
it's 2020.
it was the wrong move, because she, the first thing she asked me, she was just like, "Oh, are you religious?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a Christian." She was like, "Well, God said," "Oh, ma'am, no, that is not what I'm here."
Of church and state.
Exactly. So, how important is it for representation, or is that even an important thing that you can benefit better from having someone that looks like you as your mental health?
Yeah, definitely. I know, just reading something the other day, I know at least 1 in 3 actually African Americans receive help from, mental health therapists or psychologists.
1 in 3 do?
That's 1 in 3.
That
That's
seems like higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think with that, it's just, reducing the stigmatization of that. That's why I think, it may not be where, we all thought it would be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, choosing a therapist who you feel comfortable with is very important. Choosing one, who looks like you is also very important, but at the same time, like you just said, you may get an African-American therapist and they, have, no idea, maybe they haven't shared the same experiences that you have, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's just up to the individual to, hey, shop around. So you tell people when it comes to finding a therapist, shop around, see who you feel comfortable with, and, don't settle in a sense. If you don't feel comfortable with the therapist, go ahead and move on, find another one. So, but I think it's important though to have one to maybe, look like you, so you can, at least that's the first thing to feel comfortable. Hey, this person looks like me, so, I can let down my guard a little bit. So I think that's very important.
I know it might depend geographically where you are, and the people around you and working around you may represent you more, but are there a lot of Black mental health professionals?
Where I am, I'm fortunate that they kind of diversify things. Where I'm working now, because we actually have one African American therapist who's a male, which is very rare, African American male to be a therapist. So we have Afro Latina. We have another therapist who is African American. She speaks Creole.
I want to work where you work. That sounds fun.
We have one again, Afro Latina. She's from Puerto Rico, and we have another Latina that works with us. So for us, in where I am, it's very we see each other. Where I actually live though, outside, because I work in a different county, but where I live, there are, surprisingly a lot of African American, females who are either psychologists or, mental health counselors. Mm-hmm. So I just think you just have to kind of really search for it. I think just the lack though of African American males, so that always gets me, because I'm like, wow, you never know how much, that can help, especially with the kids I work with, young African American boys, just maybe the therapist can be that, father figure for them, or if they don't have a dad, right? Or they can be a positive role model for them. So I think trying to include more people of color, African Americans within the field, I think it will really help a lot, and also help with the stigmatization of, mental health.
Do you become a therapist?
I'm not a male.
You're black.
Oh, because I'm black. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, we kind of are therapists for our patients, though.
You're not a guy?
No,
that's insane.
definitely not.
Cut the camera.
No offense to guys, but I'm a beautiful woman. But you know what, too? I do kind of have a theory now that you brought that up, because I really didn't think about that. Like, I think healthcare is so female-driven as far as, like, nurses and ancillary.
Nurturing.
Exactly. But I think, too, do you think that the lack of black male mental health therapists or mental health counselors and psychologists has any correlation to do with the fact that black men and black boys are seen as emotionless? And even from as a child, you tell a little kid, suck it up, be a man, don't you cry, men not supposed to cry, little boys are not supposed to cry. So then they're just like, well, we don't have any emotions, and we were taught not to we were taught to hide our emotions, so why would they want to go into a field where everything is, can be potentially emotional?
Taught to repress and dissociate.
Yeah.
Those are my therapy words.
I was going to say, did you just take a GRE test or something?
I've done a Google search before I came on the air today.
I mean, that's a really, really, really good point. I think just being educated on mental health, if you have maybe an African American male who is educated in mental health, and he can go out there and, do whatever and help kids and help adults. I think that's, and while he's doing that, take that stigma off of, mental health care. I think that's important. That's a good correlation there. I really think about that. But that's just really good. I'm going to kind of think about that now.
Yeah.
And is that what your dissertation is about? Or can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so the dissertation I'm doing is a correlational investigation of African American women and gender role identity. So I'm looking at the father present. So how present was her father? Is she perceiving that her father was when she was younger? So was he engaged? Was he involved? How present was he? Was he dependable? So these three aspects are looking at how present he was and seeing if this correlates with her gender role identity when she gets older, or as she gets older.
So you're getting a PhD in daddy issues.
Well, I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, want to call it, but
I will read that article. Send it on through.
But I think that for that topic, though, I just got into that because I noticed, a lot of, young African American women or even girls just kind of having issues, but these issues stemming back to, okay, well, I didn't grow with a father. I didn't have a father figure in my life. So I think that, is very important. And father-daughter relationship, speaking on that, is very important. If you're able to have a father-daughter relationship, that's something that I think really shapes teenage girls when they get to that age, because they look for that. And, if they don't have that, they, in a sense, may look for it in other places, right? And accept anything. So I think that's an important relationship to have. If you can find one, or if you have one, or if you can find like a father figure, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's extremely interesting.
Yeah, Malika's dad is hilarious, by the way. Talk about going to the gym. Talking about going to the gym all the time. Her dad looks younger than like people who graduated with us.
Oh,
it's insane.
Gosh.
Like works out all the time. Buff guy. It's genetic. Whatever. I'm not saying that I'm jealous, but I'm just saying that I wish I could be more consistent. That's all I'm saying. But kind of piggybacking off of what you said as far as especially the question about how many female therapists or mental health therapists, black females specifically. I saw this one video, so I don't know how true this is. I saw this one video. I did. It was on TikTok. I didn't want to say. I was going to try to say evidence-based, right?
I watched a documentary on OWN,
right?
And
I saw this brief short film on TikTok, but it was talking about there was this one mental health therapist or counselor that was saying that there isn't a true lack of black female therapists. The problem is that a lot of insurance companies are not willing to accept Black mental health therapists. So therefore, most people,
I mean, not insured, but
the insurance companies.
I see.
Yeah, the insurance companies are basically telling Black, mental health therapists like, hey, we're not going to pick you up on our ticket. We are not going to insure your, the type of population that you're with. And so, of course, some people can't pay for mental health services out of pocket. So, they want to go through insurance, but they have a hard time finding African American male or female mental health therapists. So is that really a true thing where insurances are kind of lacking on accepting tickets from Black women, their mental health therapists?
Well, that seems like more like a private practice issue with insurance.
Yeah.
I don't work in the private practice sector, but I know people who do. Unfortunately, the ones that I do know, one is African American, the other one isn't, and there's a lot more that aren't in this area. So I really can't speak on, but that's more, again, like a private practice issue, because, for where I work, our services are free of charge. We don't bill for anything. So that means, hey, you can make $100,000 a year, or be, low income and still get services. So we don't discriminate. And then I used to work for a contract agency, did work through contract and whatnot. So they actually dealt with billing, but they took a lot of insurance, especially Medicaid, things like that. So I've never dealt like hands-on with insurance. So I don't know where that stemmed from or why she said that. So I don't want to say, yeah, that's true. And then, that's not the case.
Right. So do you think, like, even kind of piggybacking off of you saying, you working for a nonprofit and that you guys' services are free, do you think that in this day and age, because of how really the world is going to shit, I mean, honestly, that mental health services should be considered preventative, like, your gynecological visit, your PCP visit, or, I don't think dental is, well, no, I think dental is covered. Yeah. Once a year. Yeah. But I think you still have to pay a copay though. But some of these other services, like if you have insurance, it's considered preventative. So you don't have to pay a copay. So do you think, in your personal opinion, that mental health services should be considered preventative?
Yes, especially with dealing with trauma. I think it should be, because that trauma, especially, I'll just go off kids, if you suffered trauma as a kid, that may precipitate to when you're adult, right? So preventing that trauma from being ongoing, that could be a preventative measure. I personally think mental health counseling and things like this, the services should be free, but that's just me. Just because you don't know, who you can help or who needs that help, right? Just because they can't pay for something or, I think that's kind of unfair in the sense, I think everybody should get the help that they, deserve. So I think it's just to each his own in a sense.
Yeah.
I feel like when people think therapy, counseling, they're thinking, that I had to have some big T trauma. Something happened that escalated or something, and I need to address that, or I'm having something happen in my life and I want to talk about that. But what are some like little T traumas? I don't know.
It could be anything, any life issue. You may be having, stress from your job, right? And you don't know how to effectively cope and deal with that stress. So looking for a therapist can help you see different aspects of that and, teach you or show you better ways to cope with that stress. You might not even have any trauma, like you said. It's just how to cope and deal with certain things. So trauma is not really the number one reason you should get therapy, right? It's a good reason, but you can go to therapy for anything, So I think it's just stigmatized that, okay, well, I'm going to therapy because I have an issue with my mental health. So, that's, again, another stigmatization when that might not even be the case. You might just, okay, well, I'm just having an issue dealing with this stressful part of my life. I need outside help to help me cope with it. So.
Yeah. I remember we, a few episodes back, I think it was like in the 20s and 30s or whatever, when we talked to two police officers, Officer Kim Possible and Officer Goodbody. And when we talked to them, I remember I was talking to both of them about the type of mental health education that they receive, because we know, like, in the news, recently there's a lot of different things that happen where people are having, either manic episodes or they're just having an imbalance, and they're always, and especially specifically with African American people, they're always met with this authoritative type of correction. So my question is for you, like, do you ever see, or do you think that at some point mental health counselors and psychologists should be correlated or linked to police departments to be able to handle a lot of the domestic issues that arise to prevent a lot of these, killings of unarmed African American men and women, especially when there is a mental health issue or disorder involved?
Definitely, I definitely think they should be incorporated in that. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. Just having that culture of confidence to know, hey, I understand what's going on when I'm going into this situation, because the person may be in a manic episode, right? Mm-hmm. So knowing how to deal with that, learning how to deal with it, I think, that's very important, because I think a lot of the times people are not, white people, I guess, right? They go into this situation and they see, hypothetically, let's just say a black man, he's angry, right? So they're all automatically going to think, okay, well, he's angry, he's aggressive, he's probably armed, he's trying to hurt us, right? Before you understand, okay, well, this person may be in a manic episode, may not understand what's going on around them. They may be suffering from schizophrenia, things like that. So just having a better understanding and awareness, I think that will help police officers, and also if they realize they're in a situation where they can't help the individual, there's access to mental health therapists, right? So they can call the mental health therapist, they can come out, de-escalate the situation without having anyone get shot or even killed. So.
I think each officer needs its own therapist.
Absolutely.
Go sit down, go talk about it.
Absolutely, because I feel like a lot of, and I'm not trying to generalize, but I'm going to generalize. I really feel like a lot of police, I don't say a lot, there's a good number of police officers who got in the field of policing because they were bullied and shoved into lockers when they were children.
Pent up, unaddressed trauma.
Exactly. And then when they get in these authoritative positions, they're just like, oh, hey, do what the hell I said do. And it's like, well, you had no control over your whole life prior to that point. And so now you're projecting your own bullshit onto the community. And it's like, this person has a real issue. And even with the subject of community policing, you can't be afraid of the people that you police. Like, if you're gonna police in this community, you have to understand that Ray may have bipolar disorder. And that's a real thing, but bipolar disorder doesn't mean you're crazy. You could just literally be in a manic episode and you have a chemical imbalance that does not need a billy stick. That doesn't need a bullet in your head. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think boys are taught to embrace their emotions or empathy growing up. And then most of the police force is male. Right. So you just have these men who were never taught to take the time to think about the perspective of that person, or how to address the situation, or how their feelings come in, or how their bias is going to affect what's going on. And then you give them guns. And
then you put racism on top of that. That's a whole nother...
Boy, oh boy, you couldn't pay me to be a cop.
It's an onion. You can pay me to be a cop. I just don't want to work out. I'm not running behind you. I'll take your ankle.
I guess, too, just, Monica, my dad being a cop, and still doing stuff like that. So I know a lot of the times when he was in, I guess the streets or whatever, he would say, if there was maybe an African-American, kid or a teenager who was acting out, he said, he will get there, and if he has, white partner, he's like, okay, well, I'll take the kid, I'll talk to him. There's many times he said he's gotten to a scene where the kid may have been erratic, but he'll, talk to them, take him to the side and see what's really going on, just to kind of de-escalate the situation. But again, that's just my dad, right? He understands because he's a black man. So, so that's just a different aspect. But I think just doing that, that really helps.
Yeah. I've only ever heard those stories from black police officers or white police officers that grew up around black and brown people. So I'm like, ugh, if we just could get everyone to grow up around everybody.
Yeah, diversity is important. Yeah, definitely. So for people out there who are interested in like beginning their health journey, but they don't know like their mental health journey specifically, they just don't know kind of where to get started. Like, how would you describe, or how would you explain how to actually get started with the mental health journey, or for people to better their mental health?
Well, thank thanks to technology nowadays, you have Google at everyone's fingertips. Yep. So I kind of encourage, there's no excuse, so I encourage, whoever wants to get started to, look into the field of counseling, see what that entails. Does that match up with what you're looking for? Okay, next step, all right, let me go ahead and see if I can find a therapist in my area. There's a lot of resources out there that list therapists in an individual's area. So once you do that, again, like I told you earlier, shop around, see who worked for you, see who, what you feel comfortable with. So
yeah. And since this is, Alyssa and I are 10 years apart, and, trying to help bridge that gap between millennials and Gen Z, and trying to bridge the gap too between like boomers, Gen X, millennials, and all that kind of stuff. Do you think, like, especially for a boomer, like my mom is a boomer, right? And so do you think that, in your professional opinion, is it kind of too late for them to really get counseling from a lot of the traumas that they went through? Because, and I'm not speaking specifically about my mom, but I'm just saying, exactly, like I feel like boomers are so set in their ways, and it's like there's 70 years old, 60 and 70 and 80 years old, and it's just like, how do you bridge that gap between them understanding, hey, I'm explaining to you the trauma that I experienced at your hands. It doesn't mean that you're a bad parent, doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It's just your generation didn't deal with these things. So kind of like, what ways can we help kind of bridge the gap between...
Well, like her name is Sarah, but her pronouns are he.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little tough one. I mean, it's just, when you're a certain age, I think, especially 60, 70, 80, whatever, you're stubborn, right? No one's going to come tell you what to do and hey, like, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. So I believe everyone can be helped, but just that age group, I think, just like a stubbornness, like that's going to be a little harder to crack, right? Opposed to trying to help someone maybe in our generation, right? They're a little more receptive and understanding. So I think, too, it's to each his own, because you may get a 70-year-old and they'd be like, okay, well, I'm listening to what, Monica or Liz said, right? And I'm understanding what they said. I'm going to take it to heart and try to, use it in my everyday life. But then you might get some that are like, no, I'm not listening. You guys don't know. You guys are babies, right? Like,
suck it up.
So I think it's just, it depends who you're talking to. I think it really just depends.
Gotcha. So what are like top three, kind of closing out, top three mental health resources, whether it be a book, a podcast, documentary, different people to follow on social media, whatever. Like, in your opinion, what do you have any recommendations of like mental health resources that people can tangibly go after right now?
I'm not really a big social media person. Sorry.
It's probably the most healthy.
Like
that's healthy for your mental health. Trust me. Don't start. Don't get on TikTok.
I was gonna say, is there Tinder for therapists earlier, but I didn't.
Oh,
how nice would that be? I can swipe and see who I like.
Yeah.
They take my insurance. That's an app idea.
That'll be. Don't you steal it? Anybody listening out there?
That's intellectual property.
That's very true.
Well, I mean, for just my purposes, regarding this a clinical aspect, I use a lot of resources, maybe online, like from SAMHSA, things like that. The Mental Health Association, I might look at resources through them. I don't really have anyone specifically that I follow regarding mental health. I do have a mentor that I talk to, on and off. That used to be an old supervisor of mine, and she is African American. She has her own private practice, so just having her as an outlet at times helps, because she understands, hey, I understand where you're coming from. So that's important. But I'm not really a big social media person or like, So that's where my daughter, she's on TikTok every day. So,
Gen Z.
So, I mean, those are, just for me, those are kind of some resources I use. So again, to each his own.
Yeah. What kind of going back a little bit, because that's one of the questions I forgot to ask. Is speaking about, intergenerational trauma and stuff like that. Especially specifically with the Black church, right? Like, I mean, I grew up in a very strict Pentecostal apostolic church, right? And so their mode of operation was always just to pray it away and God will fix it. Come to, if you got shot in the head, come to the altar. And it's like, no, I think you need to go to the emergency room. No, I just grew up in it. So, I mean, so many people in my family are like, preachers and stuff. But yeah, but even on the, so from trying to bridge the gap between different generations, but even different religions where, in the Catholic Church, I mean, you're Catholic, so that, you can speak on that as far as going to the priest and telling the priest your issues or your problems versus going to a mental health therapist. Like, how do we help people to be okay with God and therapy, or pray and go to therapy?
I think just having more of education about mental health in churches, I think that's very important. To destigmatize that. I do watch, T.D. Jakes a lot. And he always, kind of said, hey, like, you can always, nothing wrong with therapy. And you can, incorporate God into that too, right? Like, you can use both. You can have faith and have a mental health counselor or a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think, like you said, with the stigma behind mental health, it's kind of like, okay, well, don't tell anybody, bring all your problems to God, and that's it. We're going to go ahead and deal with it like that. But I think if there maybe is more education maybe within the Black church, I can't speak for all Black churches, I don't know, and more of an open mind to it, I think I don't ever see why you can't incorporate both in your life. That's very healthy to do both.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my last questions. What kind of I want to say this question very carefully. I promise it's not going to get me canceled. What kind of voodoo do mental health counselors put on people? Because the very first session that I went to with my counselor, she asked me one question. I was just like, and I just bust out crying. Why do we cry on the first session? Like, what is it that y'all do to people that make people just cry? Like, I don't understand that. I felt like such a bitch. I was like, dang.
It's like when you're sad or upset and you call your mom's like, hello, and you're like, bah!
It was insane.
As soon as I hear my mom's voice, I'm like,
all my thugs just went straight out. And she just asked me one little something. I'm like, lady, I don't even know your last name. So what is it that y'all do to make people cry in sessions?
I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for all of them, but just being able to listen and empathize with people, I think is very important.
Yeah.
Not trying to portray your judgment on them, providing a non-judgmental, environment for them, and just allowing them to feel comfortable, asking questions that may bring out those tough, answers that you may not have realized that is the main issue that is causing all these other issues for you. So I think just being able to bring that out of someone is, it's very important. It helps. I don't know any voodoo or anything or black magic. I don't know anything like that.
I'm always signing up with this black magic.
Right.
That whole addressing my issues and asking me questions to make me cry, I'm not about that, but I do like some voodoo.
Well, see, and then also, being vulnerable too. Are you going to see your therapist and be vulnerable? Like, you're going to be real with yourself. I think just being able to allow yourself to be vulnerable so you can be real with yourself to fix, whatever you came to see that person for. So I think it's really hard to be vulnerable to someone you just met to. That's, it takes rapport building. It takes a lot of, may take a lot of sessions.
Yeah.
I work with people who it may be, hey, 5 sessions in, they're just stone cold. They won't say anything. And then it's kind of like you bring up something, you say something, and they break down, they cry, right? And they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I just realized that. I didn't know that. So,
right.
It just depends.
When she goes home, she's like, yes.
I know. It's like, God, exactly. That's a gold star. You can get a client to cry. I bet you that's a gold star.
I broke one today, guys.
Absolutely. So kind of, so I said that was my last question, but I lied. My last question is, for real this time, is what can we do at this point, especially, kind of piggybacking off of the pandemic and just a lot of different things that are happening, in our society. Who knows, we might be going to war, Russia and Ukraine over here going at it. It's a mess. So what can we do at this point right now to really protect our mental health?
stay grounded, stay true to yourself. Try not to be influenced by what's going on around you. And I think that's where kind of faith kind of comes in a sense too. Just kind of knowing what you know, not be distracted by the outside noise. Allowing yourself to, be around friends if it's safe, right? Be around people. Do things that you enjoy, so taking time for yourself is very important. Being able to take time for yourself. Spending time with family, again, with friends. To not feel so isolated. But self-care is very important.
Yes, definitely.
Very important.
What do you think it was about everyone being isolated during COVID that made everyone go crazy? Do you think we just finally had time to like calm down and stop and think about things? I feel like everyone started going to therapy during 2019.
Yeah.
I think just, my opinion, just people being able to be quiet for the first time, right? Just being quiet, settling down, and now guess what? You're faced with yourself. So now you may be asking yourself these tough questions, or I didn't realize this, or so. Just being able, again, to sit quietly with yourself, having that time to understand things about yourself, realizing things about yourself. I think that's what caused a lot of people, hey, I'm going to go get therapy now, or whatnot. So I don't think people like to, in a sense, be quiet, or, they're afraid to kind of look inside themselves. So I think that's a lot of that happens. Some people, started getting anxiety because they couldn't be around people. Some people have to be around people. I personally don't like crowds and things like that, so I'm always like, hey, I'm good. I'm okay. Like,
quarantine was a good time for you.
Especially traffic.
I was okay in the sense for me, just speaking on myself, like, okay, well, everything's shut down. We're not going to go anywhere. I'm like, hey, cool. Like, it doesn't matter. But it's important to have that balance too. I think to interact with people, that's important. So.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions that you have for our guests today?
Not that I can ask you without you charging me for it.
Or crying on air.
I don't know.
You're good.
Well, we definitely want to thank you for coming on to our show and sharing, your insight, your knowledge, and your experience. We definitely do appreciate that. And I think, this will definitely help educate a whole, group of people that, may be afraid to go to counseling, or maybe afraid to, seek therapy from a mental health therapist. But also, too, do you go to therapy yourself as a mental health therapist? Do you believe that mental health therapists should go to therapy?
I was told a long time ago, just, even going to school for therapy, therapists need therapists, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of like that. Yes, I do see a therapist, so just to kind of help me out with, the issues that I'm dealing with, and nothing wrong with it. I before I even look for a therapist, I'm like, hey, I'm fine, I can go ahead and do therapy on myself. I don't need anybody, right? You don't ever think
she's like, I got this.
Someone else,
right?
Yeah. So you're like, nah. I think I need to go. So
yeah.
That's very important. But yeah, there's a lot of times before I even found a therapist that worked for myself. Just a lot of fighting for me back and forth. Like, I don't need that, but I'm telling my patient, you do need this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, well, I can do it myself, or I'll just do this, modality, or I'll do this on myself. But I think just having someone who is non-judgmental and works in the field and is, trained in that helps too. So
gotcha.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any last words from anybody? Not like famous
last words.
Sorry.
Last words. No, thank you. That was so great. It was so nice to meet you.
No,
it's nice putting a face to a therapist.
I tell Monica all the time. I appreciate it. Sometimes I listen to you guys, on the way to work and from work, and just having. I think you guys, your chemistry is really cool. So. Monica might say something, and the listeners, may chime in, and it's you guys are really awesome. You're doing a great job.
So. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I do have to tell this story on air. This is totally separate from mental health. I told Alyssa this earlier, but our listeners have not heard this. Malika and I have been friends since the 9th grade. She played basketball with my sister. And one thing I love about Malika is Malika's very soft-spoken. However, if you're standing close to her, you will hear her most inner thoughts. Okay? She will let it be known.
She's an under the breather, huh?
Exactly. But then also too, I remember like back in the day, she may consider this a violation, that's okay. But back in the day, like our senior year of high school, like you know how nobody really went to the cafeteria and stuff like that. Y'all probably had way better lunches than we had. Malika used to always bring me a ham and cheese sandwich with mustard. And she used to always just take care of me. And I'm like, I promise my parents feed me.
That's specific.
It was, but they were really good.
That sounds pretty good.
They were really good. Because I used to always like forget my lunch. Like, because my parents have good snacks. I mean, we had food and everything. Wasn't like we were poor and didn't have no food. I'm just saying. A lot of
her family was feeding me for years.
Malika always had the good snacks. She always had the good snacks. So Malika was definitely my snack buddy in high school. So I appreciate that. If I've never told you that before.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Malika was always ride or die, so she was.
You've always been giving people help.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, we thank you again, Malika, for joining us today on our episode. We definitely do appreciate you sharing your knowledge and sharing your wisdom with us. And we would definitely love to have you back. Don't be a stranger to the show.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you for your support and listening. And we will definitely be gleaning on you as our face-off mental health therapist.
You're our resident mental health therapist.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We'll get you a badge and some merch.
Yes, definitely. We'll get you a shirt. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of The Face Off.
You made it to the end. You're welcome.
And Fowler.
Yeah.
I hope y'all learned something today from Malika Dandridge. I'm going to just keep calling her Dr. Dandridge because she's almost done with her PhD, with her dissertation. She's done with her coursework and all that stuff. She's just defending her dissertation at this point, which we know that can be a tedious process. So y'all keep her in your prayers, that this process is speedily and hurried along as well too.
I've never heard such a well-formed and educational explanation of daddy issues. And I know saying daddy issues is just undercutting what she's doing. But that is so interesting. So cool.
Her dissertation subject is amazing. She's an amazing person, and I'm so proud of her to be able to watch her growing up with her from freshman year of high school to seeing her, with the family and pursuing her dreams and earning her doctorate. It's amazing. It's amazing to have people in your life like that.
And she made you ham and cheese sandwiches.
She did. Listen, Malika held me down. Get you some friends that will make you ham and cheese sandwiches for your whole entire senior year of high school.
See, my best friend in high school, her mom used to pack her 2 lunches because one was for me.
Really?
Yeah. Because my mom just didn't pack my lunch.
Oh, see,
I was neglected and abused.
I mean, we could pack our lunch if we wanted to, but I don't think we were eating lunch like that. I really don't remember eating lunch like that in high school.
What did you eat?
I mean, if Malika didn't bring me a sandwich, I would get and it wasn't because my parents couldn't afford it to feed me. It was just, I was just lazy to not bring anything. I brought snacks, and then we had Papa John's pizza that you had paid $1 per slice or something, and then Blimpie subs. So sometimes I would get that, but other than that, you just got some chips and a soda and call it a day. We weren't eating lunch like that. Nobody cared about lunch like that in high school.
Our high school had these spicy chicken, breaded chicken sandwiches that were so good. And so
fancy.
One day I came home a couple of years ago, and my brother had one because he goes to my school. Yeah. And I was like,
They still had them.
They still had them. They're awful. They're disgusting. He took it out of the packet, and I was like, oh, I would never eat that in a million years. But they were so good back then.
That is too funny.
And you were a real bitch if you could get the spicy ones. Oh. Only pussies got the normal ones.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well,
that's on everything.
That's on everything. All right. Well, anyway, but yes. So we want to thank our guest again, Malika Dandridge, for coming on and giving us some amazing, insightful information, educational. And y'all don't be afraid to go out and get some help. Talk to somebody. Pray and get therapy. God created mental health counselors. He created therapists. He created psychologists and psychiatrists. You can do both.
It's okay to have big T trauma and little T trauma.
Yes.
No trauma is better than another one.
And if you don't know if you have trauma, just go to somebody anyway.
And if you think you're not the trauma,
you are the trauma.
You're the trauma.
True. Very, very true. Well, y'all have an amazing weekend. The Super Bowl just happened. I don't know who's going to win because we're recording on a Saturday.
Let's make a prediction. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bengals.
What? I think the Bengals going to get it. Absolutely.
Is that Joe Montana looking motherfucker?
I don't even know who plays for them. I just like their colors because they're orange and black, and that was from my high school, from Boyd Anderson High School. Shouts out to the Cobras. That's Rattlers too, but yeah, Cobras. Anyway.
All right. Well, congrats. I hope both teams had fun. And remember to spread love.
Spread light.
And don't forget to laugh your face off.
Happy Valentine's Day. We didn't even say that.
Oh yeah.
And you get the candy on the 15th.
Candy have boom boom.
All these September babies that's getting ready to come out because y'all are gonna be nasty on Valentine's Day.
Get your freak on.
Get your freak on. Ha! Get your freak on.
Hey,
get your freak on.
Say what?
Woo, get your freak on.
Oh,
Get your freak on.
one more time.
Get your freak on. Hey, get your freak on. Get your freak on. And if you have your baby by September, you're gonna be able to claim them on taxes next year. Or is it October? It might be October. Who knows?
Who cares? Who cares? They're gonna be behind though. They'll be the oldest kid in the class.
Absolutely, all those love babies. Yes, love is in the air.
Oldest kids in the class.
Spread
Gonna
it
get
out
held
there.
back from the August cutoff.
We need a radio show.
And we'll be back after this song. I gotta get out of here.
Oh gosh.
Hilarious. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at The Face Off Pod. Be sure to tune in to The Face Off every Tuesday where new episodes are released.